to hour number 2 of your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards. This segment is going to be brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. A roof repair can cause you a lot of stress. Choosing the right roofing company to repair your roof is very important. Most contractors will try to convince you that replacement is the only way to go, and that, my friends, that is not the Watkins way, hashtag. They believe in honest assessment that doesn't necessarily mean replacement. Heck, in most cases, all you need is a repair. So, whether you have a leaky roof, you need chimney repair, flat roof repair, roof water leak, shingle roof repair, metal roof repair, chimney flashing repairs needed, Watkins Construction and Roofing is your go-to roof repair specialist. Give Watkins Construction and Roofing a call today for your complimentary roof assessment at 601-966-8233 or check them out online at watkinsconstructioninc.com. And my guest here in the studio, Miss Amber Norsworthy, she had a good experience with Watkins here recently.
Yes, I did. So we had a very small hole in our roof, and I didn't think that they were going to even want to take the job. I mean, it was tiny. Can you hear me? Okay. And it was just a really small job, and I called them. And just from the people that answered the phone to the people that fixed the roof, they were all so kind and so helpful. And the day that they came out there to fix it, I was unloading groceries, and the workers were on the roof, and I had bought some big pumpkins. And he got down off the roof to help me carry the pumpkins inside. They were awesome, an awesome company to use. So,
yeah, they're good folks. Michael Deere and his team are great, and hopefully they're listening this morning. We got them a nice online a live radio review. So again, check out Watkins Construction and Roofing. All right, my guest, Miss Amber Norsworthy. Amber is somebody who I've been following on social media for a while, and she's got a great story. Her and her husband, and they wear their pasts like an open book, just like I do. You lived it. You might as well not hide it.
Yes.
Run from it. Use the opportunity to maybe help other people if you've battled an addiction. If somebody in your family is battling addiction. What we're going to start here, and this is really cool because this is actually Amber's idea. I'd been thinking about it, and then God kind of linked us up simultaneously. She goes, "Hey, you ought to do something called Transformation Tuesdays and have somebody come on." And she's an avid listener. She texts the Guns and Gear text line all the time. She's called into the show. And look, so I take advice from the people that listen to this show. You guys are stockholders in this thing as far as I'm concerned. I was like, well, you know what? You can be the first guest. Let's do it. And that was a week ago. Here we are today. Amber, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
How long do I have?
I'll give you the fist when you got to stop.
Okay. So my name's Amber Norsworthy, and I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. And my husband cannot be here today, but he is also, and his story is way cooler than mine, but I'll just tell mine for the most part. But, so I'm the only child, and, I have alcoholism in my family. My dad and my papa were both alcoholics, and they both got sober in 97. They actually got sober the same year, so that's really cool. But anyway, so I as long as I can remember, I was mischievous child. I was defiant, and I was kind of manipulative, like from teenage years on. That I just remember being like always lying.
Hey, Amber, yeah. How old are you now?
33.
33. Mm-hmm. And when did you start drinking?
Probably 12 or 13.
So got into it early.
Yeah, like friends' prescription medication, finding their parents' prescription medication, stealing cigarettes, alcohol, things like that. So whenever I tried those pills and I felt high for the first time, I loved it. And I wanted that, like I was chasing it always after that. And so I also was a super codependent person on boys. Like I always wanted to have a boyfriend. I could not be alone. I was always in a relationship. And so it was just like a chaotic cycle for the next, like 20 years, 15, 20 years. And when I turned 18, I got pregnant and had my first son, Zane, in 2009, and got married. And a year later, and addiction did play a role in this, but his dad left, which is fine. God has worked it all out. But after that, I got really into pills even more. I was doctor hopping, pharmacy hopping, and buying on the streets. And when he was about 2 years old, I met another man. Like I said, it was a chaotic cycle. I met another man, and we got pregnant with my second son, Cole, and he started to father my first son and our child together. We got married, and again, it was just chaos. I was constantly losing jobs, wrecking cars, dropping my kids off with my parents so I could go party and go into jail and getting arrested for things. And it was just, it was not a fun lifestyle, but I lived it for a long time. And so I got arrested, actually, for, a lot of people don't know this, but I got arrested for burglary.
A B&E.
And people, of an occupied dwelling at that, and people in Rankin County, and people, when I tell them that, they're like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, yes, I did. It's a wild story, but I did. And I got away with it, actually, whenever I did this. And a week later, I was at an apartment in Madison County, and Rankin County came out there and picked me up in the middle of the night. They found me. I don't even know how. I remember it like it was yesterday.
You got away with it in the moment.
In the moment, yes, in the moment. And I really thought that I had, like, I'm done. Like, I got away with it. They're never going to find me. And they did. But those officers were actually really nice, and they spoke a lot of truth into me when they came to get me that night. So I went to jail for like a month in Rankin County. This was this was so long ago. I'm sorry if this sounds like so much chaos, but that's what it was. I'm trying to like.
Well, it needs to paint a picture for people. Like, people need to understand that maybe we may be talking to a parent who has a child that's starting to show these signs.
Yes.
And what I hope we gather from this, and maybe maybe there's somebody in the throes of addiction that is listening right now and says, you know what, her story's worse than mine, and if she can get sober, I can too. So that's the goal here. So don't ever feel like you're saying too much, because I think any little bit helps.
Right. And I'm just going to be honest. So.
Yeah. Honesty is the way to go. You never have to remember what you said when you tell the truth.
All right. That's right. So I was in jail for about a month, and the judge court ordered me to treatment. So I went to 3 months of treatment, a Christian all women's facility. And, you know, when I got out, I didn't want to be sober. I kept using. I was just self-will run riot, and I was just living how I was living before I even went to rehab. And my parents and my ex-husband, who was fathering my two boys, you know, he was playing
father's second child and fathering your first child.
Yes,
too.
exactly. Yes. So they kind of got together and were like, no, that like the kids need to be in this. This is not a good lifestyle for them. And so they kind of got together and were like, you either need to go, this was years too. So I know it sounds like it's all happened at one time, but this was over years of time. And so they were like, I'm going to take these kids if you don't get sober. And so I went back to treatment. I went to Harbor House in Byram, and I was there 2 weeks, and I got kicked out. And that's whenever I really started spiraling. They got a temporary, like, emergency custody order. My ex-husband and my parents, they, like, worked together with that. And I got introduced to meth, and that's whenever I was really like, okay, the pills were nothing on this, and I loved it.
The meth?
Yeah, meth. And it had me manipulating, stealing, lying, getting arrested again for possession, just all kinds of stuff.
Meth will absolutely snatch your soul from you.
Oh, yeah. I was insane. There was a time that I wrecked a car. It was like the third time I wrecked a car, and I got a check for the wrecked car. And did I buy another car with it? No, I didn't. I
bought a bunch of meth.
Yes, and I spent 5 hours in Dollar General buying dumb stuff like washing powder and trash cans. Like just,
reading the back labels, comparing washing powders.
Yes,
yeah.
And I know I probably look crazy in there with my mouth going and just like spending hundreds of dollars in Dollar General. It was just complete insanity.
For cleaning stuff that you're never actually going to use to clean.
Yes, exactly.
Like I used to be when I was, if you're new here, I used to have a meth addiction too back in the day, back in the late 2000s. And I had a party addiction, and meth was a big part of that party. Until it took over and then it became an addiction of itself. And one of the things I would always do is make a list of things I needed to do. And I was so lazy that I actually put make a list on the list so I could at least check something off. But I always talk about cleaning, and I would never clean anything. You just had this. I'd be over there cleaning an air vent on the floor. The house I lived in had air vents on the floor. Older home. But it'd be a pile of nasty dishes in the sink, and I'm over here with a Q-tip trying to clean the air vent.
Yes, that's me when I was cleaning my car, just running in circles, not cleaning anything.
Yeah.
So with all this money that I'd gotten, I just had this bright idea. I'm going to rent a house. And so I rented a house like I just showed up to this doorstep calling the number on the door in Jackson. It was off North Side. I guess that's West Jackson.
Yeah, North Jackson.
Well,
it depends on north. It just depends, but we'll say north.
Yes. So I rented a house there, and I had this great idea that I was going to live there, and I was going to get sober and live life right. And all in the background, I had a custody court date coming up November 14th, 2014 for my boys. And I just thought that nobody knew what I was doing. I thought I was really good at hiding it, but the whole world knew. I was 89 pounds. Like I said, I couldn't maintain a job. I was constantly having vendor benders, totaling cars, totaling rental cars, like getting banned from the rental car place, just lots of chaos. And so on November 14th, 2014, I had every intention on going to court to fight for them, and I woke up and on the floor of that house with no furniture in it, and I had missed it, and I had my mama banging on the door, my attorney, my ex-husband, the judge, like everybody thought I was dead, and they all were like, we've got to go get her. So they showed up and they're banging on the door. My mom's like, we're done. You're done living like this. I don't know what we're going to do, but you can't live like this anymore. You're going to kill yourself. And so she said, you've got to go to treatment again.
Was this rock bottom?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This is where you kind of said, okay, I've got to get, we all have that. We think it's rock bottom. There's the path to rock bottom. Like, well, this is the worst I've ever done, but hold on, there's more.
Yeah, it was rock bottom for my drug addiction, but I didn't get saved or meet Jesus at this point. I just quit using at this point.
I'll tell you what. Okay, so we're at rock bottom. Let's take a break here. Okay. Go to a commercial. Come back and let's talk about the redemption side.
Yes. Okay.
And kind of getting sober and getting to where you're at now. It's a good stopping point. All right, I'm joined by Amber Norsworthy. We are discussing addiction and recovery here on the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. My voice cracked there. Breaking rules when necessary. Let me make it a little more manly. Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by Boondocks Firearms Training Academy. Hey, check out their new membership programs. They got individual and family membership options. That means you can go out there as much as you want and shoot at all the targets and become better at what you do. Every now and then you got to train to shoot at the bad guys, not just shoot at the bad guys. They have individual memberships starting as low as $25 and family memberships starting as low as $35. And they have a next option up called their trainers package. And then I'll tell you, this is where the real bargain comes at. Individuals, $40, family, only $50 a month. And each one of these trainers memberships comes with one of their courses, one of their training courses that they specialize in out there. These courses, run around $200 a piece. You get one free training course a year with the upgraded membership. You also get a 10% discount in their pro shop. So a lot of good. Oh, hey, the other thing too, if you order a firearm online, the FFA fee is $0, unlimited with the trainer's membership. So again, check out Boondocks. That's boondocksfta.com. And you can just click on memberships and get all of the membership information. I'm going to be getting a group together here soon and maybe going out there on a Sunday after church, of course, and doing some shooting. If you're interested in joining me, shoot me an email, clay@wyab.com, and let's get it planned. I need somebody else to actually do the planning. I'm just telling y'all I want to do it. So y'all plan it and tell me when to be there. All right, I've got in studio, I've got Miss Amber Norsworthy. We're discussing, we're starting a new thing here called Transformational Tuesdays, and we discuss people who've transformed their life from addiction, alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be. And we're telling the stories, and we're going to start with Amber. Amber has got to the point in her story where she missed an emergency child custody hearing because I guess she was high or drunk and overslept, and they all come to her house. This is her rock bottom, and so I'm going to let Amber pick it back up here.
Yeah, so I was on the floor of this house that I had rented in West Jackson with a insurance check from a car that I'd wrecked, and I had every intention of going, but of course I was out the whole night before, and The night before, I had totaled my rental car and left it at Pop's. And somehow...
All good stories include a night at Pop's.
Somehow I got back to the house and I fell asleep and I slept through it. And I woke up, my mama banging on the door, my ex-husband, my attorney, even his attorney, even the judge was concerned. Like I said, they thought that I was dead. And so my mom gets there and she's like, we're not doing this anymore, Amber. You've got to make up your mind. Do you want to live or die? Because this is the end. And so she picked me up, and I was so worried about all the stuff I had in my house, and it wasn't even anything. It was just a bunch of junk that I'd bought from Dollar General. And she said, leave it. We're leaving now. So I left, and she said, when we got in the car, she said, I don't know what to do with you. You can't come to our house, and you can't be around your boys like this. And I had nowhere to go, and I was so nervous. And so my ex-husband, we were still married at the time, he got me a hotel, and I detoxed in the hotel for 2 days until Monday when Harbor House opened, and he brought me there. And when I got there, I was so broken, and I was so tired of living life like that, and so tired of where I was going to get my next high. And I said, I want to be sober. I want to learn how to live life differently. And so I was going to do that. And I was there for about 2 weeks, and I knew I was pregnant. So I called the nurse at Harbor House. I said, I just have this feeling that I'm pregnant. And I was praying, God, please don't let me be pregnant. Like, I want to live sober. I want to be a good mom to my 2 boys. Like, now is not the time. And I was pregnant, and I was so upset and depressed. I was so down about it that I wanted to leave and use again. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know who the daddy was. I was still legally married, and I had 2 boys that I was losing custody of, and it was just not a good time. And so I waited about a week, and me and the counselor called my mom, and she just cried, and my daddy cried, and I cried. And we said, we're going to pray about adoption, because I knew I could not abort him. I knew I could not abort the baby. It was not the baby's fault. And so we prayed about adoption, and I stayed in treatment. I got big pregnant. I went through first phase treatment. They accepted me big pregnant into second phase treatment. And, 6-7 months pregnant, I decided I'm going to keep him. And I know that my family and the Lord will help me through this. And so I kept him. And I started this new program called Grace House in Jackson. It had just started, and I was like 8 months pregnant when I went there, and they had never had children there. It was all women. Like, it was like an apartment complex in Belhaven where you work and you stay there. You have to take drug tests and stuff like that.
I'm familiar with it. We had a family member there. She got kicked out, but but yeah, I'm familiar with Grace House.
Yeah. So I begged them, and my family prayed. They were praying for me this whole time. That's the only reason why I made it, and we made it. But I said, please let me and my son stay here. Like, I don't have anywhere to go. My family doesn't trust me yet. I don't have a great job making any money. And they said, okay, y'all can stay here. So I gave birth to him. His name is Owen. He's 7 now. And they
shout out to Owen.
Yeah, see, they let us come back there, and we stayed there till he was about 8 or 9 months old. And although I was sober from drugs and alcohol, I was not healed from any past trauma that I experienced. And I was kind of just like dry sober. I hadn't done any inside work, I guess you could say. And so I was constantly looking for somebody to be with. I wanted a man. I wanted a family. I wanted to be married. I did not want to be alone. And so I started, when Owen was 8 months, my family helped me get a house, and me and him moved into the house, and I was slowly getting my big boys back. I had where you had to have supervised visitation. Then I could have them by myself on the weekend. And so I was living in this house, and I was still sober. I had my 8 or 9 month old, and my 2 big boys would come on the weekends. And I started dating this guy, and we were dating. And of course, I was so in love. I just felt like he was the piece to my puzzle. And he was a great person, but I found him overdosed in a house. And it was really hard for me. I thought that he was the one, but God had other plans.
Was he secretly using?
Yeah, I met him in AA. And it was actually the first time he'd been sober for a while. I say a while, 8 months. And the first time he used, he overdosed. And it was hard. And I had to tell his mom. And it It was just a bad time.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do come back from overdoses.
Oh yeah, no,
so,
he died. And so I had to. The night that I found him, they took me to the psych ward, and it was just. I was on the brink of going back to the lifestyle that I had left, and it was scary for me.
At this point, you had not found the Lord yet.
No.
Okay.
I was just coasting through life, not using. And so, running off my wheel like I always had, and doing things my way. I was this was in December 2016 when he died. And at the end of December 2016, I was in AA meeting, and I saw a man named Amber Norsworthy, and I said, I'm going to marry him. It was just, it's just codependency. I feel like it's an illness. Like, I did not want to be alone, and I wanted my plan and what I wanted in life, and I did not ask God at all what he wanted for me. And so I met him, and we immediately started dating in December 2016. And Owen was one, my 7-year-old that I was pregnant with in treatment. He was one, and he started fathering Owen and just playing that daddy role. And he wasn't saved either. He was newly sober. He was actually still in rehab when I met him. To the world, it looks like a train wreck waiting to happen. And if God would not have intervened, it would have been. And so we got married in May 2017, and then he said, Amber, I want to go to church. And I was like, okay. And I know about God. I grew up in church. My parents are believers. And I was like, okay, let's go to church. So we went to church, and that Sunday, the preacher was preaching on addiction and life after addiction. And he looked at me and he said, and we were newly married at this time, like a month. And he said, I need to go down front and pray. And I said, okay. So I went down there with him, and he just cried. He let it all out. He said, God, I cannot do this on my own. I can't raise this boy. I can't be a good husband. I can't stay sober unless you intervene. Now, I want to lead my family that you've given me. And so he got saved, and then that night I went home and I said, I want to be saved. I thought I was saved. Like I said, I grew up in church, but I had never really surrendered my entire life to Jesus. And I did that night, and life has been so good since then. He adopted Owen when he was 2.5. And like I said, he's 7 now. And we just celebrated 5 years of marriage in May. And the things that God has done for us since we surrendered ourselves and our marriage to him is an absolute miracle. And, you know, I used to get really embarrassed about this and have a lot of shame because I have 4 children with 4 different men. I used to say, that's so trashy, and I would not want anybody to know that. But, you know, God took that crazy mess of 4 children with 4 different daddies, and he made it work. Now I have 2 men that are fathering Tyler's fathering Owen and our daughter together, and my ex-husband Justin is still a daddy to my 14-year-old and our son together. And so he just really took this messy situation and made it super beautiful, and you cannot deny that it was completely God.
Yeah, so I think we skipped over one part there. So
we probably did.
So you and Tyler had a
we had
girl
a daughter.
together.
Yeah, she's 4 now.
Yeah,
we had a daughter after we got married.
What church were y'all at where this magic happened?
We were at Pine Lake at the time.
At Pine Lake?
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff there. I'll tell you what, let's take a break. If you guys have any questions, if y'all are feeling inspired, you want to chime in on any of this, the Mac Hike of Flowood phone line is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you're hearing this, whether it's live right now or on a podcast later, and you're thinking and you're feeling inspired that you want to tell your story of beating addiction, I would love to talk to you on one of these Tuesdays here on the show. All right, this is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm joined by Amber Norsworthy, and we'll be right back on 103.9 W. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by, man, how about Lakeland Glass and Tint? Because I need to go see them. My Tahoe. I feel like I'm riding in a fishbowl. I can't even pick my nose at red lights anymore without people seeing me. So I'm giving them a call at 601-946-1000. Hey, look, you need a windshield? Lakeland Glass and Tint. You need windows tinted. Home, auto, or business windows tinted. Lakeland Glass and Tint. Hey, you need your vehicle wrapped? They do that too. Lakeland Glass and Tint. LakelandGlassandTint.com. You can schedule it all online and find out exactly how much it's going to cost. They've got software. You can go type in your vehicle and boom, it will spit out the cost to get it done. You don't even have to talk to a human being unless you want to. So you can't go wrong there. Locally owned, locally operated, where quality matters. Lakeland Glass and Tint. All right, I am joined here in the studio by Miss Amber Norsworthy. And Amber, we're getting some text about you on the Guns and Gear text line. Our friend Sarah says, such a beautiful story. Thankful she is so open, honest, and transparent. She's a bad arse for being public with her story. So, and I know Miss Sylvia called in and gave you some words of encouragement.
Mm-hmm. She's awesome.
All right, so we're at the point in the story where you've been saved and God has brought you full, I don't want to say full circle, because you're in places you've never been.
He brought me from darkness to light.
Yeah, from darkness to light, from rock bottom. Mm-hmm. You know, and my rock bottom was similar to that. It involved my dad coming over and kind of getting his way into the house and finding me passed out on a couch with just me and my pit bull and Choppa was his name. And we had kind of destroyed every room in the house, one room at a time, and just worked our way through it back to the living room. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of the only clean room. He would poop in places. I didn't want to clean it up. You know, you love to clean when you're strung out, but apparently you actually don't clean anything. Mm-hmm. And my dad gave me a choice that day, too. He said, you know, it's this, whatever this is, or it's your family.
Right.
You know, you can pick right now. And I was at that moment where sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, don't get me wrong, there was speed bumps along the way. I tell people it was not a instantaneous deal. And, you know, I still drink probably more than I should. I guess there's an argument to be made. If you drink any, it's more than you should for some people. But with that said, I got my life back on track.
Right.
And here I am now. So, but our stories were very similar. I got up that day and left and never went back in that house. My stuff was moved out, and the guy that owns that house still mad at me for the condition I left it in.
Same.
And, you know, as life goes, he owes me one anyway. But different story for a different day. But okay, so here recently you've become very open on your social media and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you started your TikToks and all this stuff, discussing y'all's sobriety, just wearing it.
Right.
You know, and hopefully you can reach out to people. And you were telling me, I'm sure you get some great messages, but you get a lot of hate from people too.
Yeah, I get a lot of, and I was actually, if I'm being honest, I don't have any shame anymore, so I will tell it all. I got nervous about even coming on here because I don't want people to be mean to me and tell them, you know, it happens, and I get nervous about even making TikToks because people can be really hateful, but, you know, I can't not share what God has done in our life. We just can't, so we do it.
And you give your testimony at AA and...
Well, so Tyler and I, AA helped God used it to help us get sober, but we're not in the program. We are strictly church and Jesus.
Celebrate recovery type stuff.
Yes, like we are just, we have a great church family that loves us, that has been with us through it all. We have our family and we have each other, and we just don't feel we don't need AA.
No, I mean, look, I was able to sober up without it. Mm-hmm. I tell the story. When I say there was a couple of hiccups along the way, I'd been sober for about 3 months, and I went to a Celebrate Recovery thing one night at a church, bumped into a guy there, and went and fell off the wagon. Right.
Yeah. There's definitely some stuff going on in AA.
You know, and look, I'm not saying don't go by no means.
No, yes. God can definitely use it.
But don't succumb.
Right.
You know, and when 12 years later, I'm at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church, and I was part of the folks that helped launch the Celebrate Recovery stuff there. And I really thought that was my calling, to be able to help and tell that story. But as I got to do it and dealing with people that were deep in the throes of active addiction, I realized real quick that wasn't what was best for me.
Right.
I wasn't the guy anymore to be able to sit there and do that. This is much more suited for where I'm at in my recovery and storytelling and all that. But I think there's a great place for the Celebrate Recovery type programs, because everybody I've met over the years that has successfully come through addiction, it ended somewhere in their story. It comes to them being saved again.
Right. Yeah, faith-based.
And I know there's some people with the 12-step program, AA and NA, that has worked for. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I don't want to argue with people about it. But everyone I know that has successfully done it in my circle, it ends with them getting saved, or starts with them getting saved and letting God take control.
I agree completely. Yeah, we have nothing against the 12-step program. I have tons of friends that are very active in it. We are just, we are strictly faith-based, and we're going to stay that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me this. Yeah, and I know you get some. Anytime you tell the truth, it offends people. So let's talk about some good stories from your social media. Do you get people reaching out saying that thank you so much for this?
All the time. There has not been a week that has gone by. You know, we've been sharing our story. When we got saved in 2017, Pine Lake actually had us come on in front of thousands of people. I was so nervous. And we told our story. And it was mostly about Tyler. They were doing like a prison recovery, and my husband's been to prison. And so we've been sharing it for a while. But we get people every week reach out to me. My daughter is struggling with addiction. My son's in jail. My husband is in active addiction. I'm struggling with active addiction all the time. And that's why we share our story, so we can, share our experience, strength, and hope, as they say in AA.
That's awesome. Look, Derek just texted in on the Guns and Gear text line, says, tell her I said that it's not where she's been, but it's what she has been through that makes her. It's the journey that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, look, people texting in, somebody texting in said, great life story. That's kind of it on the text, I believe. Somebody said, what a testimony. Somebody said, Thomas may be toying with you. different story there. I don't know if you were listening to the Thomas shenanigans earlier. Apparently, we all smell like wet dogs. A little off subject here. I'll tell you what, we'll save that. Let's take Derek's call on the Matt Hike of Flowwood phone line. Hey, Derek, you're on there, brother.
Hey, I just wanted to say real quick, because that really tugged at my heart when she said how cruel people are. I sent the text to you earlier, Clay. Can I go ahead and just say it online instead of you reading it to her?
I think I already have, but you can say it again.
Okay, yeah. It's not what you've been through. It's not what has happened, over to you. It's the journey that makes all the difference in the world. And when it comes with people like that, people like that are spectators. And you're a doer. Okay. One thing about a spectator and a critic, they always talk about people because they can't do what other people have done. So, right. Yeah, you hold your head up high.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Derek.
I do want to say that, one thing that God has done in our life since we've gotten saved that we could not do when we were using is, it's just funny how it works whenever you get sober and you start living life right. We have been able to maintain a job. I've been at my job for 4 years now. I vote now. Like, I can pay bills on time. I haven't wrecked a car. It's just like insane, just how life changes.
Win the day.
Yes. And my ex-husband and I have an amazing relationship. He is a great father, and he's a great supporter of us. And, life is just really good today. And I just want people to know that there is hope. Like, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I mean, that's one of I think everybody that gets on the other side of addiction, says this, because everybody's rock bottom is different. Right. Like, your rock bottom may be over here, mine may be up here, yours may be down here, mine may be down here. Yes. Everybody's rock bottom is different. So when we get through it, we're thinking that, because that was rock bottom for me. If I can get through this, you can get through it. And I hear people's stories of addiction, especially people who got off into the needles and the opioid, the heroin and stuff of that nature. And I'm like, man, okay, I know that my rock bottom wasn't that bad, because I didn't have to overcome that addiction, but all of ours was bad in perspective to our lives.
Well, I've also had people reach out to me questioning whether and I'm not into talking about, I drink, so is that bad? Like, for me, I cannot drink. I cannot do anything because I know it'll put me right back where I was. I don't care if other people drink or do whatever they do. That's fine. But I have people that reach out to me all the time. They're like, they haven't lost their job. They haven't wrecked their car. They haven't lost their kids. They haven't gone to jail and rehab, but their life mentally and emotionally, they're struggling because of drugs and alcohol, and they're maintaining. A lot of people can use and maintain, so they think that they're not an addict, and they reach out and they're like, am I? And so, I mean, there's different stories for everybody.
I'll tell you what, alcohol can definitely be a gateway drug, and some people can manage it.
And some people can't.
Some people can't. All right, we got Miss Lacey calling in on the Matt Hike of Flowwood phone line. Hey, Lacey.
Hey, I just wanted to say she's a blessing to my ears this morning, and I want to thank her for telling her story.
Thank you so much. I listen to you all the time when you call in.
Yeah, I know. I get a little upset sometimes when I
That's
call.
Okay.
But, yes, I love the show.
Thank you so much, Lacey.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
We are really a big family here on this show. I mean, the callers and the guests and myself and WYAB, so it's great when people call in and show their support,
But now I'm like where I know their voice. So before they even say their name, I'm like, I know who that is.
All right, let's do this. Let's take our last break of the day. We're going to come back, and I got a few more questions for Amber. Let her tell you how y'all can reach out and follow her on social media and all that stuff, and you can kind of follow along in the journey. And that's what I've been doing. That's when she asked me about this, and it's like, hey, you got to be the first guest if we're going to do it. So she agreed to it, and here we are. All right, we'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Breaking rules when necessary. I'm never going to quit saying that, by the way, because that's what we're going to do here, man. We're going to break glass ceilings. We're going to break rules. We're going to do all that. And, hey, if you are having issues with your automobile, take it out there to A1 Gear and Auto on 49 in Florence. I see my good buddy Justin and his team. We dropped a vehicle off there yesterday to get some work done on, so I walk it like I talk it here on the Clay Edwards Show. So, look, if you have any problems with your differential, your axles, your transmissions, any of that stuff, your car's running hot, radiator, just anything except diesel engine repair, A1 Gear and Auto is your one-stop shop. It's getting cooler in the mornings. Your heater not working, get it by there. Let them check it out. A1 Gear and Auto, right there on Highway 49 in Florence. Hey, they got a stack of Clay Edwards Show stickers there on the counter. Just walk in, grab one, tell them hey, and don't take them all now, unless you're going to go tag them on some Democrats' cars in Jackson. Hell, I'll give you a stack if you're going to do that. All right, we got Amber here in the studio. We got about 2 minutes left in the show. Amber, how can people find you on social media if they want to follow you on your stories, or whatever you prefer, TikTok, Facebook, any of it?
So on Facebook, my husband and I have a joint account because he never gets on there, and he has a lot of family in Montana and Oklahoma, so they like to follow us. So it's Tyler Amber Norsworthy on Facebook, and on TikTok it's Amber Alert.
Amber Alert on TikTok.
I don't know where I came up with that. Yeah,
that's good. So I like that. So people get a notification as an Amber Alert,
right?
It's funny what people come up with on their names.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't come up with anything. It's the best I got.
I know. Clay only rhymes with gay, so I just kind of tapped out on all that stuff. I'm like, well, just Clay 601 is everything.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or Save Jackson. I'm at Clay and Jackson, 601. Well, good stuff. Amber, I appreciate you coming on. I think your story is very inspirational, and I think it shows people that everyday folks, with just the love of with family caring enough to try to save you, and then you being willing enough to let God in, and you see what happened.
Yeah, you want me to tell you something real quick? Give a shout out to somebody.
Yeah.
When I was big pregnant and in treatment with Owen, we had to have a job in second phase, and I was like, nobody's going to hire me because I'm 6 months pregnant. And I went to Beagle Bagel in Jackson in the middle of their lunch rush, and I was like, I need to talk to the manager. And so the owner came over, and he was like, can I help you? And I said, I need a job. I'm really big pregnant. I promise I'll work hard. And he said, here's a shirt. You can start tomorrow. And y'all, that's just a little free advertising for them because
they've been sponsors on this station before. They also have the steakhouse behind it there.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still open or it's where Beagle Bagel. Anyway, same people. They put the steakhouse where Beagle Bagel is.
Yes.
I remember Steve and.
No, I'm talking about the one on Highland Colony. No, Frontage Road. What's that? Highland Village.
Okay.
In Jackson. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, look, guys, it's been a great show. I appreciate you, Amber. You can check the podcast. Will be available here shortly. Just go search Clay Edwards Show wherever you listen to podcasts. It'll be on YouTube later today. We'll have it split up into several different interviews. If you just want to clip this out, it will be there. You got Alan Ramsey coming up next. He's filling in for Mike Madison for a little bit, and followed by Dana, then Jameson, then Kim Wade, and I'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. See you then.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.